I don't know. Let's see. I need some help. What do y'all want to hear?
Nothing about his nuts.
There are no testicular topics tonight.
This one wasn't cool, Woody.
I don't know. Maybe we could just skip a cool story.
No, what is this? Too much
Poverty.
Skipped.
Adventure
All right,
poverty?
We'll do poverty. Wings wants to do poverty. That's what we do.
I want to hear mayonnaise sandwiches.
Yeah, so let's see. At the time, I made about $14,000 a year, which today would probably be equivalent to, I don't know, this was, say, 93. What would that be equivalent to now? 24?
Yeah.
And it was my first apartment. So I moved into these low-income apartments. It was like, I guess you could call them a projects. And I didn't really know much about Earth at the point. And I walked into the apartment, and it was beautiful, right? I mean, it had brand new carpets, and the walls were freshly painted like you would for a new tenant. And the rent was $3.90 a month, which was just pretty freaking cheap. And I'm like, hey, this is a great, super deal. You know, you get an apartment, it's only $3.90 a month. I'm working during the day and going to school at night. And that was the deal. So I moved into the apartment, and I split the rent with a roommate so that I could help afford it, and I paid for my own tuition at the time. And that's when the neighbors kicked up. It turns out, and this is good advice for you guys that have never had an apartment before, when you pay rent, half of what you're getting in that rent is not the apartment, but the exclusion of certain neighbors. So, you know, even if the place is freaking gorgeous and everybody's paying $300 a month, I trust you, that is a rough neighborhood. You don't want to be there. And the guy that lived below me, he was like, I don't know, 6'2", 275, and I was like 6 foot and like a real muscular 180. And he was a wife beater, and you would hear him just like pounding on her. And he was a drug dealer too, but all his clients were really young. They were like 10 years old. And he would like beat his wife and throw these like, you know, pop parties or whatever for little kids downstairs all the time.
And, nice guy.
Yeah. So, you know, I would occasionally call the police. I'd occasionally knock on his door and have him turn the music down. And he used to yell at me all the time for walking too loudly. And yeah, and he plays music loud. And he'd bang on my door like real aggressively, and he'd be like, you know, dude, I can hear your footsteps. And I'm like, yeah, all right, I'll try and settle that. And this went on all the time. And at one point, I think he was drinking, and he hammers on the door extra hard. And he's like, you know, dude, you better fucking stop walking so loud. And I'm like, you are crazy. I'm up here walking quietly, trying not to bug you, and you're still fussing at me? I'm like, you're going to have to get used to this. You live on a first-floor apartment. You can hear the people walk upstairs. And he started, I forget exactly what he said, but it was something to the tone of he was going to take care of it. And that's just when I contacted him, and I'm like, what are you going to do? Now's the time. Let's do this. And he just took 2 steps backwards and walked into his own apartment, and that was the end of that. So I felt like a big man, stared him down. And eventually the police hauled him away for beating on his wife, and he was gone.
Ooh.
Yep.
See, I would have did that wholly wrong. As soon as he went aggressive to the door, I would have done my normal door routine.
The me of today would have done the same thing. You think you could tell it was him knocking, right? Because he didn't knock with his knuckles. He knocked with like the palm of his, what is that called? Like a hammer fist?
Yeah.
And, so you knew it was going to be him. And I'd have answered the door armed today, maybe with the shotgun right in his face. Like,
yeah, that's me. Open the door.
Yeah.
It'd be bomb, bomb, boom. No, I wouldn't have shot him.
Trigger, but
I wouldn't have shot him. I would have loaded it up with some ice cream salt.
Oh, God.
And I would have threatened the shit out of him with it.
Yeah. I might have opened the door, taken 2 steps back, because the way the door led directly to stairs, which led to the second-floor apartment. And, maybe open the door, take 2 steps back, and have him staring at the barrel of a shotgun. And, all right, let's have this conversation. But
Our footsteps too heavy for you now, bitch.
Yeah. So, I think I could have beat this guy. I was in really good shape. Maybe in my promo for this video, I'll put up a picture.
You probably could have
of
beat him,
myself.
Woody. I mean,
Dude, I worked out.
his sparring partner was probably 190 pounds soaking wet, 5'3".
This guy was, this was in the fall. So I had just come off working out. I used to work out like 4 or 6 hours a day when I was younger. And, I was in shape. I was in fighting shape. People forget how exhausting fighting is. But what I've learned since then is that, even if you're a good fighter, especially in North Carolina where so many people are armed, and there are a lot of people here, even if they're not carrying guns, people, like, if you need a box, like say you have a box and it's taped closed, everybody whips out their frickin' knife. And they're like, here, use mine, use mine, use mine. I'm like, holy smokes. Like, people carry a knife like people from New Jersey carry keys. It's just sort of part of that's your pocket gear. Now, let's do this scenario. Let's say that you're a pretty good fighter. Think of yourself. Who's the toughest guy in your high school? Let's do this. Toughest guy in your high school. He's wearing a white T-shirt and you have a black magic marker. Do you think that you can't get some black lines on that guy's chest? Do you think that guy would beat you up without you drawing black lines all over that white T-shirt? No, that's not how it's going to go down. So, and that's the knife analogy, right? The toughest guy in your high school, boy with a white T-shirt and your black magic marker. So
If Bruce Lee went up against a knife, he's most likely going to lose.
He might even win, but he won't like that fight. That's for sure.
He's going to the hospital afterwards with some stitches.
Exactly, with some serious stitches and lifetime scars. So, every time somebody fights, like when they first realize that they're something of a fighter, right? Like you pick up a guitar on day one, you're not a guitar player, but 6 months in, 9 months in, you're better than everyone who doesn't know how to play guitar, and you think to yourself that you're some kind of badass, and then you move to the next stage and you realize, you know what, world's a dangerous place, and just because I'm good at applying chokeholds or whatever you can do, doesn't mean that you're some sort of untouchable badass.
Yeah, you can't outsmart a 9mm bullet.
It's dangerous, yeah. And depending on where you live. Like if you're in New Jersey, most people aren't armed, but around here, and I live like outside Raleigh, which is it's not.
I'd go so far as say it's suicidal to rob somebody where I live at.
Okay, yeah. So So anyway, you're not as bad as you think you are, even if you can fight. There's knives out there. And that's my adventure in poverty. I lived I was really poor, didn't make any money, and I was paying for my own school, which made me, even broker than the other guys who paid $14,000. I probably would have been eligible for, there's like rent assistance in this place, but all the people who got rent assistance lied about their income. They said they made zero. So pretty much to get rent assistance in New Jersey, you have to claim that you don't make a penny. And
how the hell you get rent assistance making nothing?
I know what is
you call that homelessness up in this place?
Yeah, I guess they
What's up with that?
they either make money under the table or they just, I don't know how you lie. And this is a while ago, right? Like the systems might have been modernized since then. But all my neighbors who received rent assistance lied about their income, and then I paid full rent, even though it wasn't that much in low-income housing.
Shoot, you call that low income? My house payment ain't that much yet.
You don't pay $390?
No, I live in a double wide. It's $340 a month, 15 years.
A double wide is like $45K, right?
I pay $42,000 for this one. Yeah.
Huh? And that's what the mortgage works out to be.
Yeah.
Fair enough. But yeah, man, it was. Most people were paying less than $390.
But I did look out, and I was given land, so I don't have a land payment or nothing like that.
That helps. Yeah, I remember, like, I'd go grocery shopping. And so I'm a young guy in my first apartment. I hadn't gone grocery shopping before. And I would sit there and look at orange juice longingly. Like, oh, my